Good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems helping you out this afternoon for your Wednesday webinar. We are going to talk with you today about how to quickly launch a medical billing business with no prior experience. Afternoon, folks, we're going to be talking with you about American Business Systems. Obviously, this is all about medical billing, so we're going to share with you how you can use the iClaim EMR system to benefit the doctors, to help their revenue cycle management get better than what they're currently experiencing right now. And again, this is going to show you in just a moment how you can utilize this platform without no prior experience in medical billing, medical coding, or anything else, because we're going to show you how you'll use the power of all the systems that ABS has here today. Let's see if we can go to the next slide here. And part of what you're going to be learned and trained to do is become a medical revenue manager. So as part of American Business Systems, after you completed your couple of weeks there of training, you will be certified as a certified medical revenue manager by a group called MIRMA. You see that down there at the bottom left-hand corner. And we'll be able to share a little bit more about who MIRMA is throughout the presentation. Excuse me. All right, let's go to the next slide here. And there's MIRMA's website there. So you could go to mirma.org, that's MRMAA.org. You can find out a little bit more about them, everybody is there, read their blog. And then there's a spot there for members only. So you'll be able to get into every place except for that area. And but you're going to share, they're the ones that actually do the actual training for you for your certification. And all the different services, some of them we will talk about today. Some of them we've talked much in detail in the prior webinars, but you can see here are the different service lines, everything from telehealth to, I guess we need to actually put up their virtual care now, and quick collect and auto card, and obviously the iClaim EMR system. That would allow you to do anything that you need to do, therefore, in medical billing. Let me introduce you to the founders of American Business Systems, and that's Patrick and Linda Phillips. Patrick and Linda actually got started in medical billing well over 30 years ago, because Linda was actually started the medical billing business in their home, and they were able to branch off and then help other people just like yourself learn how to do medical billing from their home. Now, Patrick has, throughout the years, written several books, several articles, as you'll see here in just a moment. But he's written a book called The New Thriving Medical Practice, along with a co-author, Dr. Vicki Rackner. Dr. Rackner is on the board of MIRMA, and she is also part of the board here at ABS, and she's very helpful with a lot of things. We've actually had her on several of the webinars in the past, so you may have heard of her. But he's also written some other books, How to Reprogram Yourself for Success, Cash Crunch to Cash Flow. All of these books you can find on Amazon. And if you'll notice in the Billing and Coding magazine that goes out bi-monthly, so every other month, he has been a contributing author there at BC Magazine. So folks, without any further ado, I'm going to ask Patrick to join us here. So Patrick?
Hey, listen, this article here I love this article you ran across here. For those of you who've been on our webinars in the past, you know that we talk about revenue cycle management being the business that you're going to be in. That's what we teach you to do, is to help manage the revenue cycle inside of a doctor's practice. So anyway, this one is great because, as you can see, it says that market is expected to grow by 33 billion by 2026. That's
yeah, because at 2026, yeah, after 2026, medical billing goes away, right?
Yeah, that's it. That just disappears completely at that point. You know, the great thing is that Lynn and I started this back, like you said, Eric, back in the early 90s. We started doing some billing in the late 80s, and then in the early 90s, we started putting it together and teaching other people how to duplicate what we had done. And at the time, we didn't know how long it was going to last, because electronic billing, you know, on that new fancy computer was new back then. And we thought, well, all doctors will eventually get their own system and their own staff, and they'll just do it in their own office. But as you know, that has actually shrunk. More and more doctors are outsourcing to people because they realize that it's not something that they should be focused on. They should be focused on the patients.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what we know. That's what you and I know, and hopefully those people that are on the call today will start to see that really medical billing that is done in a doctor's office is really not the most optimum thing that the doctor can be doing.
No, that's the least thing that they should be involved in fact. Now, you've
Yes.
got this great article here too. And by the way, all of these articles, we have little links down there at the bottom, which I know you can't see on your screen right now, folks. But Eric, maybe you could print out the slides. You think you could put them there in the handout section?
Absolutely.
And that way people can just download these PDFs of these slides and look all this up if they want to. But this is talking about medical billing denials. They're unavoidable. In other words, when you submit a claim to an insurance company or to government agencies like Medicare, a lot of the times they're denied. The doctor does not get paid on those. And this article was just going into, the top 5 reasons why that, could be avoided. And I love these quotes here. In medical practices, it says medical billing denial rates range from 5 to 10%. With better performers averaging 4%. So if somebody really knows what they're doing, they can get that denial rate down, can't
they? They absolutely can.
But they can also have as high as, like it says there in the next bullet point, 15 to 20% in rejection. Now, Eric, think about that. 20% of all the invoices you send out as a business never get paid. That would be a big chunk off your bottom line there, wouldn't it?
It certainly would, off of anybody's bottom line. That would just be too big of a chunk of money not to be collected. And that's why, folks, if you think and you hear what Patrick is saying right now, that imagine what happened to doctors that weren't prepared for a pandemic and, people not coming to their clinics anymore. That threw some of those doctors completely out of business. And a lot of them have complained very specifically because they knew they were seeing patients, they should have been paid, but a lot of those claims that went out, like you see right there, turned into denials and they never got paid.
Yeah, and the ones that they do finally get around to reworking and figuring out what was wrong and resubmitting, that can cost them up to $25 per claim. Well, Eric, that's the profit for some doctors on a visit to their office. So they've eaten up all of their net profit there with that resubmitting. And then how many offices we know, Eric, don't we, that a lot of offices never get around to resubmitting the denied claims because they've got another 20 or 30 coming in today that they need to work on. And so they just kind of put those off to the side. We used to call it the Porsche drawer. When everything was on paper, people would stick stuff in a drawer because if you could get all the money out of that drawer that's due to the doctor, you could help him buy a Porsche.
Well, and that's why when I was building this, I wanted to highlight that $25 per claim because, Patrick, that is, like you said, if a doctor is seeing a patient and their average reimbursement is $100, well, that's at least a quarter of that, and many of them, again, are not even getting that paid at all.
Yeah, that's right. It just completely goes away as far as they're concerned, as far as some kind of profit on that particular claim. Let's see where I'm at here. I think I'm right here. Is that right? Yeah.
I believe so.
Here's a good quote from some guy, Nicholas Ropp, with the Change Healthcare website. 1 in 4 denials originates in registration and eligibility. Kind of discuss that a little bit, Eric. What does that mean?
Yeah, what that means is what he's saying. I'm gonna pull it up over here on my side so I can do that. 1 in 4 denials originates from just simple wrong information going into the practice's registration. So when you go to the doctor, they got to register you into their system. You would be shocked, Patrick, how often people's last names get misspelled. You transcribe a patient's insurance number incorrectly. Any of that information can pull that information. If it's not being pulled from another location like our system actually does, just the physical manually inputting of patient information into a system, that's the first place of denials. The second place of denials is when you start to run that insurance and you find out that the patient is either A, not eligible, or can't be found with their insurance company. And because the doctor offices work so quickly, you know, the person at the front desk that's trying to do this will say, okay, well, somebody at the back end will fix all that, and so we'll just leave it for them.
Yeah.
And the back office says, no, that's y'all's job up there at the front office. You should be doing that. And then you got, you know, going back and forth, and still on both sides, the doctor's office is still not getting paid.
That's right. Bottom line is we can help with that, folks. When you go through our training class, you'll actually be taught how to deal with those things. And because our system actually has all of the codes in the system, you're not going to get denials because you've put in something wrong. Our system checks for that before it actually goes and forwards that claim to the insurance company. So our denial rate is less than 2% overall nationwide, because we're the clearinghouse. Our clearinghouse is built into the system. So that makes a huge difference right there.
Yeah. And I think on your next slide there that we're about to see there it shows another graph. And that graph is just basically showing again, you know, really how much money is not being collected. It shows 86% of the denials are potentially avoidable. And you can see there, 14% are just going to be unavoidable. Something's going to happen. You know, nearly 1 in 4 potential are going to be, you know, can be recovered. But again, you can see the numbers of how many things that could, you know, the 52% there is situational avoidableness. So you've got over half of those claims that should have been taken care of some way or another.
Yep. And of course, our system, because it's cloud-based, because it's the latest technology, takes care of all that behind the scenes for you guys. So again, for those of you who haven't been on one of these webinars, these are good statistics for you to know if you're researching and doing some due diligence on this industry. All those codes, as you can see, are actually built into our system, so we don't have to worry about that. Eric, I think we just put this slide up because we wanted to give people kind of an insight as to the fact that it can be run on an iPad or any kind of computer, Windows, Apple, it doesn't matter. You can use any kind of device you want to, as long as it'll connect to the internet.
Absolutely. And I think on the next slide you've got here is just, again, another quote from Dr. Vicki Rachner about, you know, claim rejection.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Rachner is actually partnered with us and becomes a partner with you, folks. If you go through our training and get certified as a CMRM, you basically are a partner with Dr. Rachner, and she's written a dozen books out there that you can find on Amazon. This is one of them right here that the doctors love, by the way, The Myth of the Rich Doctor, because they were all thought that they were going to get rich by being a doctor, and they did not end up making near as much money as they thought they would. So she wrote this book for them, and as you can see right in here, she says physicians in private practice all walk away from an average of 30% of you know, the money that they're bringing in because they don't follow up on those rejected claims.
Right. And you know what, Patrick, matter of fact, I talked to a doctor 2 weeks ago to find out that, you know, it's a little bit larger clinic than most, but he was saying that there is a ton of claims that are coming back because, again, just some of the simple things that they should be doing at the doctor's office.
Yeah, it's just simple things, and they don't do it. They don't have time to do it. They haven't been taught how to do it. They have no motivation to do it, Eric, because the people that work in the doctor's office, they don't get paid any extra for collecting, you know, 98% of his money versus 70% of his money. But that means a big difference to the doctor's bottom line.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to switch. I'm getting some feedback from my headphones for some reason, so I'm going to see if I can switch my switch here to see if it'll be a little bit better somehow else.
Sure. Okay, so folks, this webinar today is how can you get started without any prior experience? But let's start with the revenue cycle. We mentioned that earlier. I just want to illustrate it here, and you can see it starts with the data collection, getting the patient registration forms from the doctor, and of course preparing the claims. Now, how is that done? Well, in most medical billing systems, you have to get a piece of paper either faxed to you or delivered to you some way, and then you start from there by entering it into the system. Ours is all electronic. There is no paper involved whatsoever if you're using our electronic medical record system, because the doctor, when they register the patient, that's all put into the system and is there for you. So you don't really have to do a whole lot there. And then the claims transmission, our system does all that behind the scenes with all the coding edits and the procedure and diagnosis entry. Those are the codes that you've heard about. That's all handled by our system, totally, completely automated. Claims management, that's how you actually deal with the claims as they go through and as they get paid or not paid. Then you've got some follow-up there for your accounts receivables. That's your secondary claims, and also denial management is involved in that. And then there's reporting. Hey, Eric, we've got so many reports. The doctors they get to the point where they go, I've seen that before. I don't care.
You're correct. And now I want to make sure, am I being heard okay, or is there still a...
No, it sounds good.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep. Eric, why don't you describe to people...
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, why don't you describe to people the difference between a medical coder and a medical biller? Because a lot of people get confused on that when they do research on the internet. They think, oh, I got to go through a coding class, or I've got to go through a billing class of some kind.
Yeah, and it sounds like I'm still getting a little bit of an echo here, and I'm sure not. I'm going to try to talk a little bit softer and make sure that there's really not anything.
Let me turn down my volume, Eric. Maybe it's feeding back through my mic.
It could be. So, folks, the difference between, I think a lot of people get confused about what you're actually doing in and as a medical billing company. We're not necessarily training you to become a medical coder right off the bat, because medical coding takes 2 years to 4 years of school, depending upon what type of coder that you're going to want to be. So, but don't let that scare you. Then you've got medical billers. And so the difference between a medical coder and a medical biller, a medical coder is someone that would actually take the notes from a doctor's office that has no codes on it, read those notes, and then interpret those notes into numbers, an alphanumeric number or set. And then that would tell the insurance companies what's wrong with you as a patient. The biller, what they would do, in a lot of cases, that's what you'll be doing right off the bat, is taking those codes and then putting them directly into the system. So our system does both of these already. So you're not having to do a lot. Plus, we also have a couple other service lines. One's called CodeWrite and the other one's called Audit Guard. So anytime that you really need all of that information about codes, as you'll see on this next slide there's a big old book called CPT 2021 Professional and the ICD-10 codes. Nobody in their right mind has all of this in their head. So because that our software has all of this already built into it, especially when the doctors are using our EHR, electronic health records, and they're seeing you as a patient, those codes are being put in there automatically, so that whenever you get them as a biller, then all of those codes are already in there. So that's really what you're going to be thinking about doing. You're really managing, again, the doctor's revenue. That's where it's really coming into play. That's why we call you a certified medical revenue manager, obviously, in doing the billing. So I think even looking at this next slide here too, Patrick, basically what really is medical coding, like I mentioned to you earlier, there's 2 different types of codes that you're going to need to actually do medical billings or to produce a medical claim. The first one is what's called the diagnosis code. And when the doctor sees you and you've got a cough, he or she is going to not write down Eric's got a cough or Patrick's got a cough. He's going to, or he or she's going to write down maybe the word cough there, but going to go ahead and put down the exact, or kind of bubble in, or whatever however they got their sheets worked out there. They're going to circle the code for that cough. Now, the procedure code is what they do for you as the patient, or to you as the patient. So this is what the doctor is doing to take care of you. So this is going to be, treated them with a certain antibiotic, or gave them a shot, or I gave him a set of instructions. That's what the doctor does, and that's what's called the procedure code. So for us here as medical revenue managers, it's the procedure code that actually is the money code. And so the doctor knows how long that they've spent with you and then everything else that goes along with it. So the beauty thing about being a certified medical revenue manager, you will have all of this at your fingertips through our iClaim and EHR system, or EMRX, through the system, because again, the doctor's feeding that to you already. So hopefully we've kind of taken a little bit of the fear out of all the things about medical billing.
Well, that's interesting because one person here today, Shirley, said, do we get those books? Well, Shirley, you could, but they just sit on your shelf and gather dust because, again, all of those codes are online, up to date in our system and in real time. So when one is updated behind the scenes, we've updated it, you will always be seeing the latest codes. And we've got other sources that we can point you to on the internet where you can go find all those codes. There's no need to buy one of those books. Again, most people who buy them think they look good on their shelf, but that's about it. Okay, Eric, let's talk about the certification that we talked about earlier. We're certifying everybody to be a medical revenue manager. That's much more than just a medical biller, huh? Or coder.
Yeah, and the reason I illustrated it this way, imagine you're the one that holds the certification as a certified medical revenue manager, which means that if you want to hire a certified professional coder, you can. If you want to hire a medical biller, you can do that too. You don't necessarily have to, but obviously, Patrick, we know some of our licensees have actually grown so large that obviously they can't do it themselves. So what they do, they start hiring all these people around them. And folks, again, if you think about this as a business, not necessarily as you becoming, you're not creating yourself a job, is what I'm trying to say here. You're not just going to always be the medical biller. You're not going to always be the one helping the doctors with the codes. Although that the service lines that ABS has for you, again, like CodeWrite, we have certified professional coders already for you to use. That's part of the package that you're getting. So you're already getting some of these people already in your line of service already. So that's very, very important for everybody to grasp here, because this is not just a nice, pretty little slide and kind of showing you that this is really showing you that you are the central control person in your business as a medical billing company, and you've got coders, you've even got billers if you need to, from the very, very beginning.
Yeah, there are all kinds of courses out there on the internet, of course, that you could go find people to get certified as a coder or to learn medical billing. But that's if you want to go find a job. Now, we're not talking about going and find another job, folks. If what's been working for you hadn't been working, you got to change what's working, right? And we're trying to encourage you to look into this as a business, to start your own medical revenue management company. And so that's why ours is way more in depth in our training than you would ever get on some of those other courses. Now, Eric, we've mentioned those codes, and I think you had a great illustration here. You're showing the Superbill, they call it. Everybody's gotten one of these at the doctor, so they may not have known the name of it, but that's what they call it. A day sheet, or what else is that called? I don't know, Superbill, I guess.
Yeah, Superbill, a day sheet, or whatever you'd like to call it. That's absolutely what that is. And again, when you're looking at this is the way that things used to be. I would say that, doctors used to, and still, Patrick, some doctors still use paper. I mean, we know that they do.
Yeah. Well, they'll use something like this when they're seeing the patient. They'll be circling those codes and things.
Those are the codes. What you're looking at right there, those are what's called the procedure codes. Remember, I told you that's the money codes. So the doctor wants to make sure that they're doing those and getting those to you, because that's what they're trying to get billed for. But they're going to have a diagnosis code. And we're going to show that to you here in a moment, how all that starts to flow together.
Yeah, and then I think we mentioned this one earlier. I just couldn't believe when I first saw this that this is basically 50% of denied claims are never resubmitted.
Yes, that's an amazing number. I mean, no wonder doctors have their heads in their hands.
Yep, that's a lot of money to be leaving on the table. By the end of the year, some people can leave 50, 60, $70,000 that they just did not resubmit because they were too busy. They think, oh, well, I'll just have a write-off at the end of the year. But Eric, I think every doctor out there would rather have the money in their bank account than have a write-off on their taxes, you know?
That's correct. That's correct. So yes, you bet.
Well, let's talk about that impact of poor coding.
Yes. You know, these are facts, folks. Lost revenue opportunities when you got poor coding that's actually happening. There's poor cash flow because, again, not coding appropriately. Compliance risk violations. I mean, that can be huge in and of itself. And obviously, the financial risk for those violations could literally, again, Patrick, I kind of think back about a year ago, whenever COVID and the whole pandemic started to roll out. I think a lot of doctors did not really know how close to the edge they really were whenever it came down to their finances.
I can tell you that from experience. I've talked to enough licensees who've talked to the doctors out there during this pandemic to know that a lot of them didn't realize how close they were cutting it to be able to stay in private practice. And some of them actually had to shut down their practice. Now, some of them will open that back up now that we're back to where people don't feel, you know, scared of going back to a doctor's office. But we still lost a few doctors, which of course is good for our licensees because there's that much more demand for what we do. And the doctors who realize that, well, I should have turned this over, my cash flow over to somebody who knows what they're doing and not depending on my own staff, they're learning that that's the next step that you should be taking, probably.
Yeah, matter of fact, I think I remember you interviewed one of our licensees that back in May or June of last year took that books that you had there, you know, the New Thriving Medical Practice, and sent those out. And because the doctors had a little bit of downtime, was actually able to read those books and find out that they needed some help. And some of those licensees got doctors pretty quick, even during the COVID pandemic.
Oh yeah. Well, I interviewed a lady, maybe 3 weeks ago, Meg Johnson. She said she had doubled her business, last year during the pandemic. So folks, this is one of those great things. Let's talk about areas of risk for the doctor, but as far as a risk for you, there's very little when you get into healthcare, because healthcare is just going to be around for a long time.
Absolutely. Well, some of these areas of risk is, and again, we're really pulling back the curtain for you today. We're really getting into what most people would call kind of the weeds of medical billing. But where doctors have areas of risk is in two ways. Patrick was showing you earlier one of those slides that had, remember I said, the doctors are kind of circling those codes there. If they're seeing a patient and one of those codes, let's say it's like what's called a 99, let's see, boy, I've got all my 99, yeah, there we go. You're gonna pull those up for me there. 99244. That's a low.
Yeah.
So if you had one of those there that was kind of in it, but it was should have been like a 9913 there. You can see there it's a actually it would be like a 99214 or a 99213. Any of those. Let's say that the doctor saw you for 15 minutes. Let me just kind of describe this here to you best I can. But he didn't want to, what he thinks is overcoding, charging the insurance too much. Well, he or she may put a 99213 or a 99212. We've actually seen that. So that's what's called undercoding. Let's say that the doctor, again, only saw you for 15 minutes, but put in like a 99215, which is a very comprehensive visit. That's what it means to overcode. So those things do occur, and those are some areas of risk. And again, with our Audit Guard part of the service lines that you have, you could actually go in there and do an audit for a doctor. Again, you not having any experience in medical coding at all, but you just know, hey, I've got a group of coders. that will do an audit, a spot audit for a doctor, and then that person would get with you and that doctor and work through those codes together. Remember, this is somebody that is a certified professional coder and can help the doctor and say, yep, over here, doctor, with these few charts that we're looking at, you know, you were undercoding. But over here, doctor, these are good, but some of these, you got a small group here that Medicare or some of the other insurance companies would have said, you're probably coding too high. So let's get all of that back in line. Again, that's one of the benefits of American business systems that, Patrick, you and I really hardly ever talk about the integral part of the business as we're talking about it right now.
Yeah, I mean, we cover different things in these webinars. Obviously, folks, we've been doing these for about 10 years now. Every Wednesday at 4 p.m. we've been doing these webinars. So you can go to our YouTube channel, which I'll give you the address for that here in just a moment. And you'll see that we've covered every possible aspect of the business, including one of the questions that's being asked right now by Shirley. She says, how long would it take to get a doctor? She's talking about how long would it take for me to get and sign up my first doctor? Well, Shirley, yeah, that's covered in some other webinars that we have, but the bottom line is this. It could take you, we've had licensees within the first couple of weeks get a doctor signed up. Now, they had some contacts probably before they went through the training, but then there's others who took, 60, 90, 120 days sometimes. But folks, this is a real business that can provide a real income for you. So getting your first doctor it doesn't really matter. As far as I'm concerned, Eric, it doesn't matter, because once you've got that doctor, you're almost guaranteed your return on your investment, because one doctor can make you way more than our licensing fee, cost, which is about $28,000. Now, Eric, this is a good one here to talk about. I mean, we've been going all over these codes and things, but the bottom line is it's the doctor's responsibility to provide those medical codes, to the billing company, right?
You bet. And that's why we've got that stuck in there, because again, that's the doctor's responsibility. And because of our EHR, our EMRX, what it's called, all of those medical codes are included in our cloud-based system. It's all there. Again, if the doctors are using whether their system or our system, they're the ones that are going to be responsible for those codes.
Yeah, and then we've always got people thinking in their minds, of course, well, how do they get those codes to you? Of course, if they're using paper forms, they're going to somehow figure out how to get that through you. And we've got ways they can do that electronically by scanning them in and
Sure,
putting them in the cloud so you can access them. But there's also ways, of course, that people can just fax it directly to you every day. But
Yep,
if they're using our electronic medical record system, Eric, those codes are in there already. Whenever they send the claim to us or to our licensees, that code's already there, isn't it?
absolutely. Yep, those codes are there. And again, you're going to have some doctors that are kind of way back, still faxing stuff, but typically you're going to find most doctors are doing something electronically. And if not, you can certainly help them out with our EMRX. So here is, I kind of gave you everybody that illustration. And so we're going to kind of walk you through how a doctor goes through a diagnosis code, goes through a procedure code, and then where are you going to put all of that information into our system. So let's kind of take a look at that. So let's say that you're, this gentleman here or lady, you kind of have a cough. You're going to actually go see the doctor now, and the doctor does their examination on you, and then all of a sudden they're going to get that diagnosis code, and there it is. It's a diagnosis code of a R05. That's the first thing to keep in mind. There's your first code that kind of goes along with that. So again, the diagnosis code is reporting the patient's conditions or anything else that's going on with you. So as they go, the doctor gets through seeing you. He says, okay, I need to give you a shot now. Well, that's what's called a procedure. So there's actually going to be two procedures. There's one that's called the evaluation and management, and then you can see there's one for an injection. So you got that 99213, which is a regular office visit, and a 95115. So now, after the doctor sees the patient, as you can see here, we're going to look at those codes kind of side by side. What's wrong with you as the patient, you've got the R05, and then what the doctor did for you as a patient, you've got two codes there. So basically, you've got everything needed to actually bill this. So now we're going to go into our system and actually kind of show you how to do that. So we're going to kind of step you through this. You should be able to click up there where it says billing. Once you click on billing, that's going to open up another little area for you to go in and enter charges. That's what we're going to do right now. So once we click on that, we'll be finding the correct patient, looking up the correct patient. Let's say that we've got this Isabella Stevens here. We're going to scroll down a little bit because typically right now this is all screenshots here. All you would be doing is just click on the next slide there, Patrick. Yep, there we go. And you can see in that little one down there at the bottom left-hand corner, just go ahead and click it again, and you're going to see that R05 pops up there, and it's got the cough there. So you already got that. Next thing we're going to do is, if we were looking at a live system, we'd be scrolling up. We're going to put the dates from and to, which would be the same date, what's called the date of service. And then we're going to input those codes, 99213 and 95115. And you can see over there where the fees are, the fee schedule's already in the system. And you see it all calculated up over there. We're going to run, if we were doing this live, showing you live, we would run a couple of little other little audits inside there. But after that, you click right there in the middle where it says create claim. And we just walked you through a claim. And within that time frame, which is not really more than about 90 seconds that we did that, Patrick, that's about the time it takes for someone to do a medical claim.
I know people find it really amazingly simple once they've seen it done. And by the way, folks, we can go through a demo with you one-on-one. One of our folks here at ABS will get online with you and go through the system live. We were just showing screenshots, as Eric said, but we'll go through it live and answer all your questions and let you, really see how powerful this system really, really is. Eric, I don't see a whole lot of questions coming in the question box here. As you know, it's about 20 till. We always get right down to the bottom line, and then the questions start pouring in. So folks, if you've got some questions, I want to encourage you to go ahead and type those in the question box, and we will just be watching that and, of course, taking those in the order in which they come in. So I was not paying attention when you first started the webinar, Eric, but I realize now that there was, looks like, I don't know, about 20 or some odd people that are on here today. And that includes Adibonhe, Adrienne, Cassandra, Cliff, Cynthia, Dennis, Esther, Eswardia, Jason, Kira, Nevin, Peter, Purvish, Reginald, Robert, Shirley, Shantae, and Sony. So those of you who've not typed in a question, I just called your name to let you know I'm watching you. I know whether or not you typed something in there or not. I don't know what happened to my screen there, Eric. Did that slide turn real big, zoomed in or something?
No, I didn't. No, everything seems to be fine on there. While you're doing that, I'm going to answer a couple of the questions there. Shirley's asking, how long is your class? And the class can be as, I think maybe less than 2 weeks now. It could take you 3 weeks, depending upon your time frame of how long each time of the sessions that you want to schedule that with. But it'll take you about a couple of weeks to get through. And Jason is asking, I haven't seen anything about how to quickly launch. Is it all background? And I'm sure, Jason, you might have to rephrase your question there. Not sure, again, how to help answer your question there. So why don't you, if you maybe, Jason, rephrase your question, I'll see what we can do to help you with that. All right, let's get back to what you got there, Patrick. So obviously we've talked about all the different services that is with ABS, Code Write and Quick Collect and Audit Guard. I think we're going to just go through a few of these just to touch base on some of those different services that you have.
Yeah, now remember, folks, that these are what we call ancillary services. They're actually all optional. They come with your package. You have these available to you to offer to the doctors and the practices out there, but you don't have to offer any of these. All you really need to do is to, do their billing. I mean, that's where the big money is, but there are fees involved in all of these services that you can offer to the doctors that you make some money on these as well. Well, guess what? As a company, so do we. So if you're wondering, how do we offer one-time licensing fee with no ongoing fees of any kind, support, user fees, upgrade fees, training fees, none of that. is ever charged to any of our licensees. Once you've paid that one-time fee, that's it. So this is how we make our money on the back end. We make a few pennies on every one of these services, and that's just, I'm letting you kind of peek behind the scenes there as to how ABS continues to make money without having to charge you there's some companies that charge $1,200 a year, Eric, for support.
Absolutely. So let's get to the next slide there real quickly and about CodeWrite. So I've been talking about CodeWrite here a little bit throughout the presentation. And you've got here CodeWrite, then you've got on the next slide there, this is where, again, I was sharing with you that we have certified professional coders that will do everything for you. You will learn how to maybe scan some doctor's charts to those coders, but other than that, those are going to be all done by the coders in their queue to be able to do that for you. Now, Jason was kind enough to go ahead and since I'm on this slide, I'm going to tell you why he's asking. The webinar was how to quickly launch a medical business, and it's been about the business and quickly launch the business. What we mean by how to quickly launch the business is that you don't have to go learn any of this on your own by yourself. You could literally go through that class within about less than 2 weeks, and Patrick's going to show you here in just a moment about the online classes and the training and the certification. And because we have all of these services, because Jason, typically to become what's called a certified professional coder takes 2 to 3 years to learn how to do that. So who wants to wait 2 or 3 years before you can actually start becoming a certified medical revenue manager? You don't have to. So what we're showing you here is that we have everything that you need to help you quickly launch your business. So as soon as you walk out of that training class, you've got CodeWrite, you've got Audit Guard, you can help those doctors see. I mean, here's a picture of all the certified coders that we have available. Folks, this is the way that you want to launch. You want to be able to finish your training, and at the end of that training, be able to go out there and start marketing and take on any business as quickly as that business starts coming in.
Yeah, so Jason, to address your question there, I see what you're getting at now. He's talking about the fact that we're not talking about how to quickly launch a business. And we're comparing that to what it would take you, Jason, if you went through the training from other companies to become a medical biller and then a medical coder. That could take you 2 or 3 years, or even college courses. But with this, you pay our one-time licensing fee that's $28,000 approximately. And that basically gives you the right to go through our training, which, as Eric said, you could get through that in as little as 3 weeks if you wanted to. We work on your schedule. It's online, but it's worked around your own schedule with a live instructor. And there's 10 modules. Each one is about 90 minutes. So it doesn't take that long to get through our initial training. And that's why you can really quickly launch a business with us compared to building it from scratch.
Correct.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, Eric, we've talked a lot about the coding and the auditing training. Here's Audit Guard. This is another one of the services you can offer. Let's just kind of move through these. They can read these on the handout. If you go to the handout section, folks, and download this, you can just read about these all yourself. These are some of the reports that are turned into the doctor once we do an audit on their practice there, so they can see those reports. And of course, you get copies of those as well, and can set in on that when we go through it with the doctor. Then, of course, there's the HIPAA compliance training. Eric, this is pretty important nowadays. They've got to be compliant with HIPAA, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. And Jason says, just as an FYI to everybody, he says, oh, that makes more sense. You have one-on-one training, and then, yeah, you got it. And Shante says, thanks. So I think we've kind of kept clear a lot of that up there. So I appreciate everybody's feedback. Yeah, but folks, HIPAA compliance is a big thing in the doctor's office as well. Again, we give you everything that's needed to step out of that training, where it's 2 or 3 weeks, depending upon your schedule. That's really what it gets down to, is your schedule. And you will be ready to launch your business immediately, right after training. And you can see here with compliance, which is one of the most violated parts of any doctor's office, is HIPAA compliance. Matter of fact, I saw on the ABS licensees a webinar that comes up. Now, this is a webinar that you, prior to becoming a licensee, cannot attend just yet, but these happen on Fridays, and I think in another week or so, we're showing you again how to market each of these services, and one of the ones that we're going to be showing you how to do that are to our licensees. Again, is helping them relaunch and or I'm sorry, not relaunch, but help people to know how to talk to these doctors about compliancy, which is all the HIPAA compliancy.
Yeah, and then we have a document management training that we can go through. We can actually give you a system. We have a system that's a cloud-based system that you can enroll the doctor in, and then all of their documents can be scanned in and be available to the doctor and anybody else that they want to give it access to, all their staff, online 24/7. It's just the most amazing thing I've ever seen. If you came to our offices and looked here, you would not find any file cabinets, would they, Eric? Because we don't keep any paper here. We scan it right into this cloud-based system, and then it's available to me and my staff, which is located, in several states here in the United States. And those folks can access all these documents from their long distance as well. Then there's choice pay. I'm just going through these kind of quickly, Eric, so we can get to wrap up here. But the choice pay is a great way for helping the doctor to figure out a way to let the patients decide how they want to pay. Whatever fees that the patient owes that the insurance didn't cover or Medicare didn't cover, we've got a way to help with that so the doctor doesn't get stuck holding the bill, so to speak. And then there's quick collect, same thing. We can collect the doctor's old money that's out there, the accounts receivable. There's sometimes, Eric, we've gone in, our licensees have gone into doctor's offices that have $500,000 in accounts receivables that they've just never worked.
And then this last one here, and I'll, if you don't mind, I'll take this one because I think this will help everybody once again, talking about how quickly you can get started. Now, let me share this with you. What I'm going to tell you to do is go watch last Wednesday's webinar. That's one thing. Go watch last Wednesday's webinar because we went into this a little bit more in detail. But folks, one of the greatest new services that ABS has is called virtual care. And let me tell you about that. This is not telehealth, or telemedicine. This is actual what's called remote monitoring of patients. And this is the hottest, most leading things that people in the medical field right now are needing and wanting. Matter of fact, I just sent a new article to ABS support on how really hot a topic virtual care really is. Folks, if you learn nothing else more than what you can learn in your training, then to learn what remote patient monitoring is, what chronic care management is, all of the different services that are through what's called virtual care. ABS has teamed up and partnered with a company that is helping doctors see their patients remotely with blood pressure cuffs and glucometers. That's for diabetes. They're also helping monitor CHF, chronic health, heart failures, and so what's happening here? This is an area where it's newer than, again, medical billing. And the great thing about it is that it actually helps increase the doctor's revenue up to 25% more money than what they're currently making right now without you even doing their billing. Plus, you're making money on top of that. And then obviously in healthcare, we're all in healthcare. We want to see the better outcomes for patients. So that's what we're seeing through the virtual care platform. So for people only here like Jason and Shantae that are asking questions, and Shirley, they're asking questions about how quickly can you get started. Folks, you could literally take this one out the door next week and start making money, helping you get your return on your investment, but more importantly, helping the doctors increase their revenues. And then really in really far sense of looking at it, you're really helping your community because you're getting better health care to people in your area.
Yeah, it's really hard in a short webinar like this to summarize what Eric just tried to there about virtual care. But folks, just take my word for it. You'll be able to see the money. You'll know that there's money here once you've gone through some of our training on virtual care. Money for the doctor and money for you, and of course money for ABS on the back end as well. Okay, Eric, they're not alone either. When they go through the training, of course, it is a one-on-one training with one of our instructors. So we build that on your schedule, and yes, it can be done on weekends and after hours and whatever it takes to help you get the training done. We're going to do that for you. And believe me, it doesn't matter if you work a full-time job or not. You can do all this training anytime that you want to and get through it fairly quickly. And then you're off and running. After that, of course, we have support people from coast to coast that are ready to help you with your live demos. I mentioned that earlier. We'll do a live demo not just for you, but also for your doctors. So if a doctor wants to see the system, we'll show it to them since we know all the answers to all the questions they ask. And you can just sit on that and remotely be on it just like you are today, watching and listening to what we say to the doctor. It's as close as it gets to helping somebody just close a sale, isn't it, Eric?
Absolutely, it is absolutely, that's correct. So, folks, here's what I'm gonna encourage you to do, because we're just getting about ready to wrap up. There's just a little bit over maybe 5 minutes left that we're going to have with you here in just a few moments. And I know Patrick wants to kind of go through some of what he considers his next steps of some things you could do. Let me encourage you, if you haven't seen a live demonstration of the system, get back with the person who invited you to the webinar and have them do a live webinar, live demo with you. Secondly, I'd encourage you to go learn a little bit more about this virtual care. You can just type in virtual care or remote patient monitoring in your Google search there, and you're going to start seeing how widespread this is becoming. And there is not another business opportunity in medical billing out there in the United States that has medical billing, all the different services that Patrick and I have been able to show you, and virtual care. There's not another company that has everything that you're going to need to help you build your business, build it quickly, and have a strong support team behind you on all of those things. And kind of referring to some of the last things here that Shirley's saying here, do we have to pay this fee every year on the system? No, we're going to work with you and show you how the doctors are paying for the actual iClaim and EMRX systems. But there's only one-time fee of the $27,990 that you're paying. And yes, we will always be here for you. You can always come back for us for help. We're here for you. That's what ABS has been doing for 27 years.
Yeah, Shirley, you asked a question here about setting up an LLC. That's a legal entity that you can set up with your state. And we do recommend that, although there's people who just run this as a individual operator. Some people set it up as a corporation, but an LLC is really probably the best way. So yes, the answer is that after you've gone through our training, we'll teach you step by step in the training even how to get that LLC set up. That's part of the training.
Yeah.
Any of you who want to see this presentation again, we post these on our website on the blog. So go to our website, absystems.com, and you'll see that at the under the blog there where we post all these recordings. Yeah, okay. And Shirley, we do help you with a business plan, by the way, as well. Boy, she's got a lot of great questions here. She said somewhere, Eric, that she is actually in this business and works for a doctor and wants to work for herself. So that's why she's got so many pointed questions here about all this.
Well, Patrick, there's about 3 minutes left here, and I know that you want to kind of go over a few of the steps and talk about the money-back guarantee here.
Yeah, so the money-back guarantee is something that I don't know of any other company that does this, folks. As far as a franchise or a business opportunity licensing situation like we have, I don't know of anybody that gives their money back, but we do. Yeah, why? Because we know what we have and we believe in it, and our return rate is less than 1% anyway, so it doesn't really matter. If you want to go through our training, you can see all of our proprietary information, go through the whole 15 hours of training, have access to a lot of other proprietary stuff. And if for some reason you still don't think this is the right business for you, just let us know. We'll give you all your money back. And you're off and, go open that McDonald's you've always wanted. Okay, Eric, let's look at those next steps because there are just a few here. First of all, folks, we have a research guide. This is nothing that's on our website, by the way. You have to request this. So there's the phone number that you can call right now. If you don't know who your ABS rep is, call and ask or email us, and we'll tell you who that person is. And you can ask for the research guide. It's probably in a link in whatever email they sent you to register you for this. But here's what it looks like. It's over 50 pages. It's a PDF file that we'll send to you only if you request that specifically. Then number 2, don't miss our YouTube channel. Look, we've got one here called Why ABS. There it is right there on your screen. And there's a picture of it. If you go to our channel, you'll see there's all kinds of playlists and videos. Eric, I think I counted over 200 videos on this site because we've been doing this for 27 years. So obviously we started actually posting these only about 8 or 10 years ago, but there's a lot of information out there about our business if you would really want to dig deep on this, folks. Then ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. Yeah, we've got other licensees that have gone through our training. They've started their own business. They're all in it full time now, very successful, and they're willing to take a phone call from you. That's right. And they love us so much, they'll take a phone call and answer any questions they have about the business. So be sure and ask for that as well. Then ask for the live demo. We've mentioned that a couple of times. Just ask your ABS rep, tell them I want to set up a time when I can get online and see you, show me the demo and let me ask all the questions I want. This is the same thing we do for you, of course, when we do a demo for your doctor. There's our support demo person up there in the upper left-hand corner. He's giving the demo to a doctor and his staff here in the middle. And then there's you maybe and your partner or spouse watching along as we do that demo for your doctor. So folks, it doesn't get any better than this from a business standpoint on how to wrap up a business prospect for you. Then number 5 there is review the purchase agreement and the funding instructions. It's just a 4-page document there that we'll send to you. And then last but not least, send that agreement in with your funds and schedule your training. That training can be scheduled, like I said, around the clock for you and or a spouse or partner. And you can do that anytime you want to. That's based on your schedule and our instructor's schedule. We have instructors who are actually running their own business, just like you are, that we pay to do the training. And one lady who's doing most of our training right now, Eric, as you know, has been with us for 5 years doing the training. So she's very well versed, and she also has dozens of clients herself, so she knows this business inside and out. Eric, thanks for putting this together today.